Antarctica, the very name evokes images of a remote and untamed wilderness. For many travellers, it's the ultimate dream destination, a place so distant and extraordinary that it almost feels beyond reach. Yet today, Antarctica is more accessible than ever. Our recent expedition aboard Viking Octantis showed us that while the white continent still demands a spirit of adventure, it can also be experienced in remarkable comfort. This was a journey to one of the last truly wild places on Earth. Our adventure began in Buenos Aires before flying south to Ushuaia, Argentina's southernmost city and gateway to Antarctica. With hundreds of passengers arriving for the voyage, Viking's team managed the logistics seamlessly, allowing anticipation to replace the practicalities of travel. Soon we were aboard Viking Octantis, sailing down the famous Beagle Channel beneath dramatic skies where dark clouds battled with sudden bursts of sunlight. Ahead lay Antarctica, and between us and our destination, the legendary Drake Passage. Drake Passage has a reputation all of its own. Despite optimistic predictions of a calm Drake Lake, the Southern Ocean reminded us who's really in charge. For some passengers, including Kath, the motion proved challenging, but Viking Octantis handled the conditions impressively. By the second evening, life on board had settled into a comfortable rhythm, excellent meals, inviting lounges, and a sense of relaxed luxury that made crossing all part of the adventure. Purpose-built for polar exploration, the Viking Octantis soon became our home in one of the most remote regions on Earth. Our cabin's floor-to-ceiling window transformed the ocean into a private cinema, with constantly changing views of sea, sky and ice. Every detail had been thoughtfully designed, creating the perfect balance between exploration and comfort. Then came the unforgettable moment. At first, what appeared to be distant clouds slowly revealed itself as land. In Antarctica, the boundaries between clouds, snow, ice and ocean blur together in endless shades of white and grey. But there it was, our first glimpse of the seventh continent. As we approached Fournier Bay, the Antarctic experience truly began. Small icebergs became larger and more dramatic. Humpback whales surfaced around the ship. Penguins darted through crystal clear waters. Towering glaciers and rugged mountains framed every view. Then came our first Zodiac expedition. Suddenly, we weren't simply observing Antarctica, we were immersed in it. Experiencing Antarctica at water level is something entirely different. The crisp polar air, the immense scale of the ice, the silence interrupted only by wildlife. Returning to the ship, we were treated to sightings of orcas hunting nearby. Watching from the open bow quickly became one of my favourite experiences on board. Every outing delivered something unforgettable. One of the most memorable moments came at Recess Cove. Here I stepped onto Antarctica itself. It marked the completion of a personal goal, visiting all 7 continents. The landing was simple: a few Weddell seals, a colony of Gentoo penguins, a small designated visitor area. Yet standing on the southernmost continent carried a profound sense of achievement. Sometimes the most meaningful moments are also the simplest. In Antarctica, nature always has the final say. Weather continually reshaped our plans. When fog prevented one landing, another opportunity emerged. That flexibility became part of the experience. At Enterprise Island, we encountered the haunting remains of a steam-powered whaling vessel, a reminder of the region's fascinating and often challenging history. And wherever we went, wildlife was never far away. One evening delivered perhaps the most spectacular wildlife encounter of the entire voyage. Multiple humpback whales appeared among enormous icebergs. Captain Evo positioned his ship perfectly, allowing guests to witness an extraordinary display of feeding and surfacing behaviour. Against a backdrop of ice and glassy water, it felt like watching a wildlife documentary come to life. Only this time, we were in the middle of it. If whales were the stars of the ocean, then penguins were undoubtedly the stars on land. At Port Lockroy, a former British research base and post office, we spent time among a bustling Gentoo penguin colony. For photographers, the opportunities seemed endless. Everywhere we looked, there was activity. Penguins porpoising through the water, calling to one another and navigating life in one of Earth's most extreme environments. At Damoy Point and Danko Island, we gained a greater appreciation of Antarctica's complex ecosystem. Under brilliant sunshine, skuas patrolled nesting colonies, constantly searching for opportunities. The scenes could sometimes appear harsh, but this was nature at its most authentic, a powerful reminder that survival here is never easy. At Half Moon Island, new wildlife joined the cast. Chinstrap penguins added yet another species to our growing list. The island was alive with activity. Skuas, petrels, gulls, and the wonderfully scruffy sheathbill. Noisy, chaotic, and endlessly fascinating. Every landing offered something unique. Eventually, it was time to leave Antarctica behind. Towering mountains faded into the distance as Vikings onboard experts enriched our understanding of the region's wildlife history and exploration. The return crossing of the Drake Passage was mercifully calm. Time for reflection, time to appreciate what we had experienced. And finally, a distant glimpse of Cape Horn signalled our return to the familiar world. This journey reinforced an important truth. Antarctica is no longer reserved for elite explorers or hardened adventurers. Modern expedition vessels like Viking Octantis have made one of the planet's last great wildernesses more accessible than ever before. The weather remains unpredictable, wildlife still dictates a schedule, and flexibility remains essential. But the rewards are extraordinary. Whether you're drawn by whales, penguins, photography, history, or simply the desire to experience somewhere truly different, Antarctica is an achievable travel dream. And once you've been there, you'll understand why it remains one of the most remarkable places on Earth. Antarctica exceeded every expectation, and it's a journey I'll never ever forget.